Yonder music.
Well, that's weird. Now I see me, but I don't think you all can. There we go. Hey everybody, what's happening? It is so good to be back. I'm not gonna front. I was just a wee bit distracted, a tidbit, a tiny little bit. On account of I I, I had my hands full. Or I don't usually do this, but it's just so perfect and delicious. Is this what they call ASMR? Hold on. Is that what that is? What I'm enjoying right now. Excuse me. I got chocolate on my fingers. And he breaks every rule in a voice actor's handbook to consume dairy before a performance. But I'm also an African American male over 35. So consuming dairy anyway should be problematic. And yet, here we are. What you just saw me enjoying is one of the perfect cookies. Now, if you were feeling envious, and I wouldn't blame you if you were, but if you were feeling envious, you can actually get the perfect cookie at this URL at daisybco.com, because Daisy B and Company, owned by a friend and part of the Storytime with Julian family, Angel Monique, she makes this cookie, and it is absolutely divine. And because I love you, I do love you, I have arranged with her that if you go to that website, daisybco.com, and you buy yourself a perfect cookie, and you use the code STORYTIME, that's STORYTIME, at checkout, I believe you get 10% off. So, look at that. Did you see the chocolate is dripping? The chocolate came through dripping. Oh my goodness. So yeah. So that is something. Don't say I never did nothing for you. I have missed you all. Let's see what the comments are. Mimi Brown said this is dope. I'm assuming she's talking about the new graphic. That graphic, you'll be seeing a little bit more of that and some variations on that. That graphic was done by a dear friend of mine who is also employed by a couple of small companies. Walt Disney does some work for them, does some work for those little funny book companies, DC Comics. And he did that work for me for this show, and I'm so glad to have it. I absolutely love it. And true to form, right now, to my left, Don Cheadle is laying on a pillow looking at me because I just said his name. Homie Lou loves the animation. I love it too. Angel Monique says, come through new graphic. Hi, Angela Rains. Hi, Iowan, Tribal Stone Flowers, Purple Nebula. Holy Purple Nebula, Batman. What's happening? April Wright. Judy Lee. Who else do I see? I see Kamisha Umstead. Hey, how you doing, Kamisha? Good to see you. Kitty Foxy, so glad that you're back. Joker thinks that it's rude of me to do this. That's the sound of me caring. It's so good. It's so good. No, Mimi Brown, you did not miss out on ordering the cookies. You can do that now at daisybco.com. And I want to let you know, because I'm sure Angel will when you get to the site, but The post office is on some, what's that word I like to say? Some fuck shit. They're on some real heavy, like, and their chocolate was on my thumb. And so your orders may be delayed. I believe that for those of you who have placed orders that have been delayed by the post office, she actually has some remuneration and some compensation in mind for that. So make sure that you get in touch via the website, and you'll be able to find out more. I'm gonna here's my last one. Dr. Linda Chavers just came on and told me that's rude, and she actually deals with policy and stuff. So she says it's rude. It's like officially university level rude. But the truth is, to order the perfect cookie, go to daisybco.com for 10% off. Use the code STORYTIME. LJ, good to see you, friend. Glad you're back. All right, let's get started. I'm done. I can't do this. I got to get this out of the way so that I can't set it to the side, because Donnie will literally eat anything that's too close to him. I heard whoever said he'd get it from his daddy. That was rude and uncalled for. I don't appreciate it. Tonight we're keeping it real easy, y'all. You can tell by the informality of me sitting up here chewing and gabbing with y'all that we're keeping it real light. But it's real. Look at that. Look at it. That ain't right. I mean, it is right. What I'm doing ain't right. Look at the chocolate. Anyway, we're going to keep it really easy because I'm just glad to be back. I'm glad to be back with fam. Glad to just kind of chill with you all and vibe with you all the way it was when we first. Linda Chafer said, don't blame the post office. Listen, if you knew like I knew what they've done to me, what they've done to me, I never shall forget what they've done to me. The post office is on some stuff. They're on some stuff right now. I am blaming the post office. Now, I know that they are doing the best they can with the tremendous amount of executive fuck shit that has been placed on them. And I know that the actual mail carriers, for the most part, are out there like soldiers doing all they can. But as an institution, currently, the fuck shit abides. Today, we're just going to read some simple stories. Simple is really my favorite stories to read here. Of all the phenomenal authors that we've read, of all the fantastic stories that we've come across, of all the absolutely remarkable characters that we've met. I swear I'm almost done, y'all. I didn't think it was going to take me this long to eat 2 cookies because I'm me, but these cookies demand savoring, and I'm trying to wolf them, but the cookie is like in my mouth saying, no, you gonna taste me. And I mean, I've never fought against that argument. So you can take that how you want to, but I meant it dirty. That's right. But for all the exotic and fantastically powered and different thinking and remarkably capable characters that we have encountered in the several months that we've been doing this, simple really just kind of brings it all home. It's just simple and easy and light. And that's why these are the stories that I select. Yeah, I'm really talking with my mouth full. You know why? Because this is my show, Dr. Linda. That's right, Dr. Linda. Putting you on blast. Yes, I'm talking with my mouth full. I'm sorry, y'all. I have no couth and no sense. This is what happens when you get from behind the mic for a while and you get off camera for a while. You lose your home training. I look like E40 right now. That's real crazy to me. Jesus, I'm old. All right. Done. We're back on track. But he's just really, as Judy Lee says, down to earth. And he really kind of brings everything home in a nice, affable, even though a lot of times he's just the ain't shitness of Simple is high. But even with all of that, he's just such a likable character. And so to ease us back in, to ease okay, no, that was just awful. That was just rude. To ease us back in, we're going to read some simple stories. A little bit of quick housekeeping. Want to let you guys know a couple of things. We are no longer live broadcasting on Twitter. Why? Because Twitter is a platform for micro blogging. And this show, especially when we have the pre-read attached to it, this show runs between 2.5 to 3 hours sometimes. It is not for a microblogging platform. Now, Twitter has not said anything to me. They let it happen. They're cool with it. But I don't think that's the right platform for extended content. I'm going to be posting short form content on Twitter, little nuggets and bits and pieces. Twitter has a new voice record function that I've been testing out on my own personal platform just to see the ease of use of it and to see what kind of engagement it gets. I will most likely be using just their built-in platform in the near future to do some micro blogging, to give you little short snippets of stories or wonderful turns of phrases that we pull either from books or that I make up out of whole cloth. So we're going to replace the Twitter stream with Twitch. Now I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. Twitch is not for most of you. Okay? Twitch is not for most of you. Twitch is noisy and confusing, and it has like as soon as you log in, they assault you with somebody's show that you didn't ask for because it's popular. It has too many buttons. But Twitch is for exactly what we do. It is for streaming content. There are a few storytellers and story readers on that platform. Can't nobody do it like me though, but they're on there and they're doing their thing. And so for those of you all who do use Twitch, you can find us there as Storytime Julian. We have a channel. We are in fact live broadcasting onto Twitch right now. For those of you all who are open to finding other avenues, Twitch is an interesting place. And it does offer unique ways to support the show. So for those of you all who are into tipping your griot, Twitch has that built in. They've got something called bits. And you can just, yeah. And somebody from Twitch is spamming me right now. Look at that. Look at that happening and being not at all what I wanted. But yeah, that's a Twitch person. So just so you know, that is a new thing that we have going on, and we're going to get all of that sorted out. And eventually I'm probably going to block comments on Twitch until I start to know the folks there like I know the rest of y'all. But anyway, moving forward, we got some simple stuff to do, don't we? Thanks for being patient with me while I just kind of meandered a little bit. I'm still getting back in the groove. You know what? Real quick. Last one. Now I'm ready. It's a sad and sorry thing. I'm sorry, this story is called A Veteran Falls. It's a sad and sorry thing to see how some of these fellas come back from the war all wounded and crippled up, ain't it? Said Simple. Last Saturday night, I was climbing that 145th Street hill from 8th Avenue when it was half raining, half sleeting, and cold. I was just thinking about turning into a bar to give me a drink when I saw a long, tall, one-legged soldier coming down the hall on crutches, just swinging it, man, like he was in a hurry on one leg. He was in a hurry because two dopey dames was behind him trying to keep up with him, and it looked like he was disgusted with both of them. Then something kind of sad happened, man. Right in front of the bar, under all them neon lights, one of his crutches skidded on the wet sidewalk, and that veteran slipped and fell down. His one good leg went out from under him, and he went flat on the pavement. But this was the other part. Both of them women rushed to pick him up. You could see how that soldier was embarrassed, trying to ignore them homely dames, and here he had done fell down. The tall woman bent over and took him by the arm to pull him up from the sidewalk. But the little woman hollered, "Don't you pick him up, Casey. I'll pick him up myself. He's mine. He was trying to jump salty with me tonight, but he's mine right on." "I will so pick him up," yelled the tall woman. "He's an old flame, and I mean from way back. I will pick him up." "Charlie's more to me than he is to you," said the little woman, tugging on his other arm. "I'll pick him up myself." Both of them was pulling and hauling at that one-legged soldier, and boy, he was cussing like mad. And when he got to his feet, he shook them both loose. I handed him his crutches my own self while them women was yapping at each other. The back of his uniform was all muddy and wet, and his pant leg was folded over his stump was wet too. I reckon he must have been on leave from the hospital because you could tell that leg hurt him. He tried to make out like it wasn't nothing happening. "What's all this fuss these damn women are making? I just fell down, that's all." "Any man can fall," I said, but I could tell he was trembling and he couldn't help it. He put his hands over the stump of that leg. The little woman was standing at the curb yelling, "Cab, cab, cab," and taking time. Hold on a second. I heard an echo and it threw me off. And taking time to turn around to see what the other woman was doing. "Cassie, you leave that man be, I tell you. Cab, cab, cab." But you know on a rainy night how hard it is to get a cab. Meantime, the other woman had run one hand down his shirt front, and was trying to give him a kiss. But he pushed her away. So she went to the curb and started yelling cab too. Then in all that old, cold, drizzling rain, them women started yapping at each other all over again. Man, a woman is something. "I'll get a cab," the tall one yells. "I'll get it and pay for it too," hollered the little one. "I know Charlie snuck off from me to go see you today, but I'm the one he comes to first, like this afternoon, first, soon as he gets in town." "That's what you think," says the tall woman. "Wee, you, cab." "I'm the one he gets $1 from when he needs it most," yaps the little chick. "Long as I'm working, Charlie'll eat. I'll get this cab and pay for it. Did you hear me, Cassie?" Some old agitating Negro standing in the doorway of the bar yells, "One of you women better hurry up and get that taxi, or won't neither one of y'all have no man. He'll be gone." That soldier boy did start to walk, but that leg, he must have hurt them nerve ends when he fell. I imagine it was like a aching tooth and he couldn't keep from grabbing it, leaning on them crutches, trying to keep his hands from going to the sawed off leg, but he couldn't keep from grabbing it. He just stood still. I didn't know what to say to him, so I thought I would take my handkerchief and wipe some of the wet off the back of his coat. But he said, "Get away, man." It was old Dad Martin what owns that little hamburger stand that did the best thing. Dad come out and say, "Son, anybody could fall down on this wet night. Is you hurt?" "No, Dad, I just slipped, that's all." "I mean, did it hurt your feelings?" Dad said. "No," said the soldier. "Then everything's all right," the old man said. Just then, Cassie hollered, "Baby, here's the cab. Come on." The little woman beat Cassie to him, though. "He's our taxi, honey. Come on, Charlie. We got a cab." "You better sit between them two women, else they liable to tear each other's eyes out," yells that agitating old Negro in the bar door. "Everything's under control," said the soldier. "Don't worry." He pulled his own self up in that cab, but then the women jumped in after him, and he was between them when the taxi pulled off in the rain, and they were still fussing over who he belonged to. It was funny still, and yet it wasn't funny neither. You can laugh at a man when he falls if he got two legs, but I couldn't laugh at him. couldn't nobody laugh at that soldier like they would laugh at you and me if we fell down trying to ignore a couple of women. That's why it was kind of hard for that boy to take. I aimed to order a beer when I got in the bar, but my mouth said a double whiskey. It damn sure did after that boy fell down. And thus endeth the story. Well, there is simple being 100% simple, y'all. I'm just making a couple of adjustments here to make sure that I've got the EQs right. I don't know if you all heard the echo, but I did. It was something raw. So just gonna make a couple of volume edits. I was too busy with that cookie to do what I was supposed to do, and since we didn't do a pre-read, but I think we got it together. All right, y'all, I'm gonna just keep moving through the stories. I'll look for the comments if y'all got anything to say, and we'll bring it up as it goes, but just kind of keeping it moving. Hey, Terry, good to see you. I see Gwen here. Yeah, you're a little late, Gwen, but that's all right. I see Chrissy Davis. How you doing, friend? I love you too. Good to see you. Judy Lee picked up on that, but my mouth said, hey, I feel like I'm going to start using that one. Listen, but my mouth said, it's like, yeah, this is what I wanted to do. This is what I aim to do. But my mouth said, the next story is called High Bed. I told you should take care of yourself, I said to Simple as I sat down beside his bed. Running around half high in all this cold weather. If you had taken care of yourself and not gotten all run down, you would not be here now in this hospital with pneumonia. If I had taken care of myself, said Simple, I would not have these pretty nurses taking care of me. Everything has its compensations, I admit. But look at the big hospital bill you will have when you get out. Just let me draw 2 or 3 weeks' pay or hit one number, and I will settle it, said Simple. But what worries me is when am I going to get out? You should have worried about that before you got in, I said. And you'll never get out if you do not observe the rules and stop telling folks to bring you beer and pig's feet and things that you're not supposed to have. You didn't bring me that 3 feathers I told you to bring, said Simple. And the nurse would not let me finish that little old sausage Zarita brought in her pocketbook yesterday. She said it would be a bad example for the rest of the patients in this ward. So I have not broken any rules. But if you give me a cigarette, I sure will smoke it. I will not give you a cigarette, I said. Okay, said Simple. You will want me to do something for you someday. You have everything you need right here in this hospital, I said. If you really needed something you're supposed to have, I would bring it. They feed me pretty good in here, said Simple. Only one thing I do not like. They will not let you take your own bath. And what is wrong about that? Well, the morning nurse, she come in before day a.m. and grab you by the head. When she gets through scrubbing your ears, they hurt just like they feel just like they have been shucked. Ain't nobody washed my ears so hard since I got out from under my mother. Sleepy-headed as you are, I guess she's just trying to wake you up. And man, said Simple, when she washes your stomach, it tickles. I told her I was ticklish and not to touch me nowhere near my ribs nor my navel. I do not see why a big husky fellow like you should be ticklish. I do not mind when she rubs my back, though. That alcohol sure smells fine. Remind you of something to drink, I presume? It do feel sort of cool and good like the last drop of a gin Ricky. But I don't want to think of a gin Ricky right now, pal. I shouldn't think that you would, I said. That is why you are here, becoming intoxicated and forgetting your overcoat. That is not true, said Simple. I got mad. Joyce made me so mad I walked out of the house at 1 a.m. without my coat, and the wind was frantic that night. 0. But being drunk had nothing to do with it. A woman aggravates a man, drunk or sober. But Joyce is sorry now that she ever mentioned Zarita. She come here yesterday and told me so. She is so sorry. She done caused me to get pneumonia. She knows Zarita ain't nothing to me, but even if she did accidentally see me talking to her through the vestibule, but I do not want to discuss how come I am in this hospital. I am here. I am sick, and I cannot get out of this bed. Why do you reckon they make these hospital beds so high? To keep people from getting out easily, I said. Well, they are so high that if a man ever fell out, he would break his neck. I am afraid to turn over in this bed. I naturally sleeps restless, but this bed so high, I'm scared to sleep restless. So I lay here stiff as a board and don't close my eyes. I mean, I really am stiff when the morning comes. This would be a right nice bed if it was not so narrow and so hard and so high. Everything must be wrong with that bed, I said, to hear you tell it. I don't see why they don't make hospital beds more comfortable. In a place where people have to stay in bed, they ought to have a feather mattress like Aunt Lucy used to have. If hospital beds were comfortable, I said, folks might not ever want to go home. I would, because I would, because I don't like even a pretty nurse to be washing my ears. This is one reason I was glad when I growed up, so I could wash my own ears and comb my own head. Has any nurse ever tried to comb your hair? I inquired. These nurses are not crazy, said Simple. My head is tender. Man, nobody here better not try to pull a comb through my hair but me. If they do, I will get up out this bed no matter how high it is and carry my bohunkus on home. Calm down, I said. You'll run your temperature up. Nobody's going to comb your hair, man. You can certainly think of some unpleasant subjects, said Simple. Even if I was dying, I would comb my own head, and better not nobody else touch it. But say, boy, if you want to do me a favor, when you come back, bring me a stocking cap to make my hair lay down. That is one thing these white folk do not have in this hospital. I wonder, is it against the rules to wear a nylon stocking cap in this here high bed? If it ain't, you tell Joyce to send me one. Very well. Also a small drink, because you know it's a long time between drinks in a hospital. And sometimes I don't have nothing to do but lay here and think. The other day, I got to thinking about the age of the air when rocket planes get to be common. What did you think about it? About how women will have a hard time keeping up with their husbands then, said Simple. How's that? Men's will have girlfriends all over the world, not just around the corner where a wife can find out and sue for divorce. Why, when rocket planes get to be as cheap as Fords, I'm liable to go calling in Cairo any weekend. Joyce would be right behind you, I said. I expect so. Not even in a rocket plane could I keep Joyce from knowing my whereabouts. But you know what I am talking about is true. And in the future, it's going to be even better. In 1975, when a man can get in a rocket plane and shoot through the stratosphere 1,000 miles a minute, when he can get to London sooner than I can get from Harlem to Times Square, you know, and I know, a guy will meet some woman he likes halfway across the earth in Australia, and any night after dinner, he will shoot over there to see her while he tells his wife he's going out to play pool. He can be back by bedtime. Your imagination is certainly far-fetched, I said. No place will be far-fetched when them rocket planes get perfected, said Simple. If I can afford it, I sure will own one myself. Then in my rocket, I will rock. You will see me hanging around no Harlem bars no more. Saturday nights, I will rock on down to Rio and drink coconut milk and gin with them Brazilian chicks whilst dancing a samba. Saturday, Sunday morning, I will zoom on over to Africa and knock on some palm wine before I come back to 7th Avenue around noon to eat some of Joyce's chicken and dumplings. Joyce will say, Jess, "Where you been this morning with your hair blowed black so slick?" And I will say, "Nowheres, baby, but just out for a little ride in the clouds to clean the cobwebs out my brain. I drunk a little too much in Hong Kong last night. And don't you know, after them Chinese bars closed, the sky was so crowded it took me nearly 10 minutes to fly back to Harlem to get an aspirin. So this morning, baby, I didn't fly nowheres but straight up to them nice clouds for a breath of fresh air, then right back home to you." What are you going to say if Joyce smells that African palm wine on your breath? "How do you know anybody can smell palm wine?" said Simple. "Maybe by that time, somebody will have invented something to take the scent out of all liquors anyhow. Besides, I won't be drinking enough to get drunk. I'd be very careful with my rocket plane so as not to run into some planet, neither no star. I will keep a clear head in the air." That's more than you keep on Earth, except when you're in the hospital. "There you go, low rating me," sighed Simple. "But listen, Daddy-O, such another scrambling of races as there's going to be when that gets a rocket plane perfected. Why, when men can shoot from Athens, Georgia to Athens, Greece in less than an hour, you know there's going to be intermarriage. I'm liable to marry a Greek myself." "Are there any colored Greeks?" "I would not be prejudiced toward color," said Simple, rising on his pillow. "And if I did not like the liquor they drink in Greece, I would fly to Nagasaki and drink sake. Or I might come back to Harlem and have a beer with you." "If you're doing all that flying around, what makes you think I would remain here in Harlem? I might be out in my rocket too." "Great stuff, Daddy-O. We might bump into each other over London. Who knows? Because I sure would be rocking through the sky. Why, man, I would rock so far away from this color line in the USA till it wouldn't be funny. I might even build me a garage on Mars and a mansion on Venus. On summer nights, I would scoot down the Milky Way just to cool myself off. I would not have no old time jet propeller plane neither. My plane would run on atom power. This earth, I would not bother with no more. Nobody, yo. The sky would be my roadway and the stars my stopping place. Man, if I had a rocket plane, I would rock off into space and be solid gone. Gone. Real gone. I mean gone." "I think you're gone now," I said. "Out of your head." "Not quite," said Simple. And thus endeth the story. Wow. Like that one started off like ha ha he he. And then somewhere toward the end, just after his intermarriage with the Greeks, it got really real. It got really real. Angel Monique says Simple spoke a word. Doesn't he always though? Like like for real, for real. We're not even looking for there to be a message, and then somewhere in the middle it just kind of slips in. Thank y'all for hanging out with me. Angel says she absolutely loved that one. That one spoke to me too. That one was deep. I have to admit though, I really am fond of it's wild that Langston Hughes created this character to have so much rich imagination and to be able to kind of shape the world in the way that he does. I'm fascinated by the interpretations of the world that Simple has and the way that um he brings something fantastic and there's almost a childlike level of imagination, an imagination so pure and uninhibited by, the baseline of reality. I really dug that. Y'all can comment. I'm looking for your comments to see what y'all thinking and what y'all saying. So please, by all means, let me know your thoughts. We are going into the next story called Final Fear. The next time I visited Simple, I found him convalescent, slightly ashy. He says slightly ashy. Simple ain't been slightly ashy since the first story, man. I'm sorry, that just tickled me. I know he meant gray of skin, but that still tickled me. Let me try that again. All right. Here I go. Here I go. I'm gonna get it together. Final fear. The next time I visited Simple, I found him convalescent, slightly ashy, and a bit thinner, sitting up in bed but low in spirits. He was gazing sadly at the inscription on a comic book. Lovingly yours, Joyce. She has just been here, he said, and I feel like I'm going to have a relapse. If that's the way visitors affect you, then I will depart. Not all visitors, said Simple. Just Joyce. I love that girl. Then why does a visit from her get you down? A woman brought me into this world, said Simple, and I do believe women will take me out. They is the fault of my being in this hospital with pneumonia because my doctor told me the mind is wasting my body from the looks of my chest. I must have been worrying. So you too have one of those fashionable psychosomatic illnesses, I said. No, it's Zarita and Isabel, said Simple, plus Joyce. That wife of mine called me up New Year's Eve just when I was starting out to have some fun, long distance, collect from Baltimore, just to tell me that since another year was starting, she was tired of being tied to me and not being with me. She told me again, either come back to her or else get a divorce. I said, which would she rather have all these years, me or the divorce? She said divorce. I say, how much do a divorce cost nowadays? She say, $300. That is what I am feeling bad about, buddy-o. If I had not paid $5 to marry that woman in the past, I would not have to pay $300 now to get loose. Maybe it would be cheaper to go back to her. My nerves is wrecked, said Simple. That woman is incontemptible. She has caused me mental anguish, also a headache. I will not go back. Besides, Joyce has been too good to me for me to cut out now. You see them flowers she bought to this hospital? Also these 2 comic books and 4 packs of chewing gum? But Joyce is also a headache. Hey, what's up? I see Kumba M, first time listener invited by a friend. I actually saw the invitation happen. And yes, it is good to see you. I don't usually do the acknowledgments mid-read, but it's a little bit loose today. Things will tighten up by Tuesday. Run it back. Besides, Joyce has been too good for me to cut out now. You see them flowers she brought back to this hospital? Also these 2 comic books and 4 packs of chewing gum. But Joyce is also a headache. You're just weak from your recent illness, I said. You mean Joyce is weak for me, corrected Simple. Sitting right here on this bed today, she told me she is not built of bricks. Joyce says she has got a heart, also a soul, and it is respectable. Joyce swears she is getting tired of me coming to her house so regular and everybody asking when is we gonna marry. She says I've been sitting in her parlor too late for her respectability. I say, 1 o'clock ain't late. She say, no, but 2 and 3 o'clock is, and you sure can't stay till 4. I say, baby, it ain't what you do, it's how you do it. But she disagreed. She say, no, it ain't what you do, it's what folks think you do when folks see you coming out my place at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. You know what they think, even if it ain't so. I have been knowing you too long not to be married to you. If it were not just the day before yesterday that we met, Joyce said. Then a divorce would be good for both of you, I interjected. You could get all those day before yesterday straightened out. Days is like stair steps, said Simple. If you stumbled on the first day yesterday, you're liable to still be falling tomorrow. I have stumbled. Anyhow, I said, it's better to fall up than to fall down. You can get things straightened out when you get well. No matter what a man does, sick or well, something always liable to happen, said Simple, especially if you are colored. Race has nothing to do with it, I said. In this uncertain world, something unpleasant can happen to anybody, colored or white, regardless of race. Mm-hmm, said Simple. You can be robbed and mugged in the night, even choked. That's right, I said. Or you can get poisoned from drinking King Kong after hours. Sure can, said Simple. Or you can go crazy from worryation or lose your job. Else your money on the horses or on the numbers or policy or on Chinese lottery if you live on the coast or poker or blackjack or pokino or tonk. And you ain't mentioned Georgia skin, said Simple. I can't play skin, I said. It's a rugged card game, said Simple. If I had never learnt it, I might be rich today. But skin's a mere skimption compared to some of the things that can happen to a man. For instance, if you was a porter, your train could wreck. If you was in the merchant marines, your boat could sink. If you're an aviator, you liable to run up the Empire State Building or Bissinia Baptist Church and bust up your plane. It is awful, man, what can happen to you in this life. You talk as though you've had a hard time, I said. Have any of those things ever happened to you? What are you talking about? Cried Simple, sitting bolt upright in bed. Not only am I half dead right now from pneumonia, but everything else has happened to me. I have been cut, shot, stabbed, run over, hit by a car, and tromped by a horse. I have also been robbed, fooled, deceived, two-time, double-crossed, dealt seconds, and mighty near blackmailed, but I am still here. You're a tough man, I said. I have been fired, laid off, and last week given an indefinite vacation. Also Jim Crowed, segregated, barred out, insulted, eliminated, called black, yellow, red, locked in, locked out, locked up, and also left holding the bag. I have been caught in the rain, caught in the raids, caught short with my rent, and caught with another man's wife. In my time, I have been caught, but I am still here. You have suffered, I said. Suffered, cried Simple. My mama should have named me Job instead of just Simple. I have been undeferred, underpaid, undernourished, and everything but undertaken. I've been bit by dogs, cats, mice, rats, pole parrots, fleas, chiggers, bedbugs, granddaddy's mosquitoes, and a gold-toothed woman. Great day in the morning. That ain't all, said Simple. In this life, I've been abused, confused, misused, accused, false arrested, tried, sentenced, paroled, blackjack, beat, third degree, and near about lynched. Well, anyhow, your health has been good. Up to now, I said. Good health, nothing, objected Simple, waving his hands, kicking off the cover and swinging his feet out of bed. I done had everything from flat feet to a flat head. Why, man, I was born with the measles. Since then, I had smallpox, chickenpox, whooping cough, croup, appendicitis, athlete's foot, tonsillitis, arthritis, backache, mumps, and a strain. But I am still here. Daddy-o, I'm still here. Having survived all that, what are you afraid of now that you're almost over pneumonia? I'm afraid, said Simple. I will die before my time. And thus endeth the story. Yo, that was dope. That was dope. That was dope. That was dope. There, he. Sometimes the biggie stick of it, the way it just kind of whops you over the head, when you're not even looking is what gets me. It's the biggie stick for me. It's the way that I'm reading these different mishaps and maladies that have befallen Simple, and the rhythm of it, and the cadence of it, and the lyricism of it, and the song of it, and I'm kind of caught up in the character being the character, and then they hit you at the end with what he's really afraid of. Surviving all of that, only to die before your time. There's something undoubtedly black about that. About going through everything there is to go through. About suffering everything there is to suffer. And not being able to live long enough to reap the reward that almost certainly must come to someone who suffered so much, right? Like there's gotta be a reward at the end of this. But what if you don't get to live long enough to get it? What if somewhere in the middle of the suffering they actually get you? That one got me. L Jack said, "This shit rhyming though, yo, that's Simple spitting. He's spitting." The gold tooth woman got me too. Been bit by chiggers, bed bugs, mosquitoes, and a gold tooth woman. I was done. That was one of those. That was one of those moments where it was tough. It was hard to stay in character. Let me check the time right quick, y'all. Thanks for rocking with me. I've really been enjoying myself. I hope y'all are enjoying yourselves too. Poetry is my passion. Said that's powerful. Yeah, they sneak it in on you, don't they? Simple and his judgmental ass friend. This next story is called "There Ought to Be a Law." I have been up north a long time, but it looks like I just cannot learn to like white folks. I don't care to hear you say that, I said, because there are a lot of good white people in this world. Not enough of them, said Simple, waving his evening paper. If there was, they would make this American country good. But just look at what this paper is full of. You cannot dislike all white people. Hold on a second. I just realized let me clear the screen. There we go. You cannot dislike all white people for what the bad ones do, I said. And I'm certain you don't dislike them all because once you told me yourself that you wouldn't wish any harm to befall Mrs. Roosevelt. Mrs. Roosevelt is different, said Simple. There now, you see. You're talking just like some white people talk about Negroes they happen to like. They are always different. That's a provincial way to think. You need to get around more. You mean among white folks? Asked Simple. How can I make friends with white folks when they got Jim Crow all over the place? Then you need to open your mind. I have near about lost my mind worrying with them, said Simple. In fact, they have hurt my soul. You certainly feel bad tonight, I said. Maybe you need a drink. Nothing in a bottle will help my soul, said Simple, but I will take a drink. Maybe it'll help your mind, I said. Beer? Yes. Glass or bottle? A bottle because it contains 2 glasses, said Simple, spreading out his paper on the bar. Look here at these headlines, man, where Congress is busy passing laws. While they making all these laws, it looked like they ought to make one setting up a few game preserves for Negroes. Whatever gave you that fantastic idea? I asked. A movie short I saw the other night, said Simple, about how the government is protecting wildlife, preserving fish and game, and setting aside big tracts of land where nobody can fish, shoot, hunt, or harm a single living creature with furs, fins, or feathers, but it did not show a thing about Negroes. I thought you said the picture was about wildlife. Negroes are not wild. No, said Simple, but we need protection. This film showed how they put aside 1,000 acres out west where the buffaloes roam, and nobody can shoot a single one of them. If they do, they get in jail. It also showed some big national park with government airplanes dropping food down to the deers when they get snowed under and have nothing to eat. The government protects and takes care of buffaloes and deers, which is more than the government does for me and my kinfolks down south. Last month, they lynched a man in Georgia, and just today I see where a Klan has whipped a Negro within the inch of his life in Alabama. And right up north here in New York, an actor is suing an apartment house that won't even let a Negro go up the elevator to see his producer. This is what I mean by game preserves for Negroes. Congress ought to set aside some place where we can go and nobody can jump on us and beat us, neither lynch us nor Jim Crow us every day. Colored folks rate as much protection as a buffalo or a deer. You have a point there, I said. This here movie showed great big beautiful lakes with signs up all around. No fishing, state game preserve. But it did not show a single place with a sign up, no lynching. It showed flocks of wild ducks settling down in a nice green meadow behind a government sign what said no hunting. It was nice and peaceful for them fishing ducks. There ought to be some place where it's nice and peaceful for me too, even if I am not a fish or a duck. They showed one scene with two great big old longhorn elks locking horns on a game preserve somewhere out in Wyoming, fighting like mad. Nobody bothered them elks or tried to stop them from fighting. But just let me get in a little old fist fight here in this bar. They will lock me up and the desk sergeant will say, "What are you colored boys doing disturbing the peace?" Then they will give me 30 days and fine me twice as much as they would a white man for doing the same thing. There ought to be a place where I can fight in peace and not get fined them high fines. You disgust me, I said. I thought you were talking about a place where you could be quiet and compose your mind. Instead, you're talking about fighting. I would like a place where I could do both, said Simple. If the government can set aside some spot for elk to be a elk without being bothered, or a fish to be a fish without getting hooked, or a buffalo to be a buffalo without being shot down, there ought to be some place in this American country where a Negro can be a Negro without being Jim Crowed. There ought to be a law. The next time I see my congressman, I'm going to tell him to introduce a bill for game preserves for Negroes. The Southerners will filibuster it to death, I said. If we are such a problem to them Southerners, said Simple, I should think they would want some place to preserve us out of their sight. But then, of course, you have to take into consideration, what if the Negroes was taken out of the South? Who would they lynch? What would they do for sport? A game preserve is for to keep people from bothering anything that's living. When that movie finished, it was sunset in Virginia, and it showed a little deer and his mama laying down to sleep. Didn't nobody say, "Get up, dear, you can't sleep here," like they would to me if I was to go to the White Sulphur Springs Hotel. The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath not nowhere to lay his head. That is why I want a game preserve for Negroes, said Simple. And thus endeth the story. Yo, yeah, y'all said it. Tonight's simple stories are not simple at all. Simple ain't so simple. Yo. Yeah, Simple was spitting tonight. Simple is spitting tonight. Let me check the time right quick, make sure that it's 10:55. That means we got about time for one more, and then we're going to call it a close. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. It's good to be back. And Simple was this was the right call. This was exactly what I needed. Just enough illumination and elucidation, but wrapped in the deceptively simple truth of simple. Yeah. All right. Let's get into one more. I think we might even get away with two more. But for sure, let's get this next one popping. This story is called Income Tax. On April 14th, just the day before his taxes came due, Simple was sitting in a booth across from the bar, figuring, and each time he figured, he put his pencil in his mouth. Joyce's $59 birthday wristwatch on time, plus that wedding reception to which we was late, minus $29.11 old age dependency insurance, plus miscellaneous $579.22, minus $1.15 work clothes deduction. Man, I ain't never gonna get it straight. What's all this high finance? I said, concerning birthday watches and non-deductible cab fare. Income tax, said Simple. I deducts all. Psh, just think of what the movie stars and Wall Street people who really have to worry about income tax, I said. I don't care nothing about them folks, answered Simple. All I know is that tomorrow the man is demanding, not asking, for money that I not only don't have, but ain't even seen. The Bureau of Internal Revenue seldom makes mistakes, Jess. If it does, they've got people to check and recheck, and if they miscalculate even as little as 2 cents, you'll eventually get it back. I just like to check for myself, said Simple. So I've been figuring on this thing for 3 days, and it still don't come out right. Instead of them owing me, look like I owe them something, which I don't know where I'm going to get. Why didn't you just take your figures out to a public accountant and let them figure it out for you? Man, I took it to one of them notoriety Republicans. One That's funny. Man, I took him to one of them notoriety Republicans once, and he charged me so much I got discouraged. Maybe next year things will be different, old man. According to the papers, Congress is considering a bill to reduce taxes. By the time Congress convenes, I'll be without means, said Simple. Besides, I don't get enough for my taxes. I wants to vote down south. It's hell to pay taxes when I can't even vote down home. Taxation without representation is tyranny, so the books say. Sure is, said Simple. I don't see why Negroes down south should pay taxes at all. You know Buddy Jones's brother, what was wounded in the 92nd in Italy, don't you? Well, he was telling me about how bad them rednecks treated him when he was in the army in Mississippi. He say he don't never want to see no parts of the South again. He was born and raised in Yonkers and not used to such stuff. Now his nerves are shattered. He can't even stand a Southern accent no more. Jim Crow shock, I said. I guess it can be as bad as shell shock. It can be worse, said Simple. Jim Crow happens to men every day down south, whereas a man's not in battle every day. But his brother has been out of the army for 3 years and is still sore about Mississippi. Well, what happened to him down there? I will tell you like it was told to me, said Simple. You know Buddy's brother is a taxi cab driver, don't you? Well, the other day he was telling me he was driving his cab downtown on Broadway last week when a white man hailed him, got in, and then said in one of them slow Dixie draws, Boy, take me over to 59th Street and Fifth Avenue. But his brother told him, I ain't gonna take you nowhere. Get out of my cab and quick. The white man didn't know what the matter was, so he say, Why? But his brother say, Because I don't like Southerners, that's why. You treat me so mean when I was in the army down south that I don't never want to see none of you all no more. And I sure don't like to hear you talk. It all goes through me. I spent 18 months in hell in Mississippi. The white man got all red in the face, also mad, and called a cop to make Buddy's brother drive him where he wanted to go. The cop was one of New York's finest, a great big Irishman. The copper listened to the man, then he listened to Buddy's brother.
Sitting right there in his taxi at 48th and Broadway, Buddy's brother told that cop all about Mississippi, how he was Jim Crowed on the train on the way down going for drill for Uncle Sam, how he was Jim Crowed in camp, and how whenever he had a furlough and his colored buddies had to wait and wait and wait at the camp gate for a bus to town because they filled the buses up with white soldiers and the colored soldiers had to stand behind and wait. Sometimes on payday, if they were a big crowd of white soldiers, the colored GIs would never get to town at all. Officer, I'm telling you, Buddy's brother said, that Mississippi is something. Down south, they don't have no nice policers like you. Down south, all them white cops want to do is beat a Negro's head, cuss you, and call you names. They do not protect Americans if they are black. They lynched a man 5 miles down the road from our camp one night and left him hanging there for 3 days as a warning. So they said to us northern Negroes to know how to act in the South, particularly if from New York. Meanwhile, that southern white man who was trying to get the cop to make Buddy's brother drive him over Fifth Avenue was getting redder and redder. He say, "You New York Negroes need to learn how to act." "Shut up," says the cop. "This man is talking." Buddy's brother talked on. "Officer," he said, "if it was so bad at that army camp, I'll tell you a story of something that happened to me. They had us colored troops quartered way down at the end of one camp, 6 miles back from the gate, up against the levee. One day they sent me to do some yard work up in the white part of the camp. My bladder was always weak, so I had to go to the latrine no sooner than I got there. Everything is separated in Mississippi, even latrines, with signs up, white and colored. But there wasn't any colored latrine anywhere around, so I started to go in the one marked white. A cracker MP yelled at me, 'Halt!' When I didn't halt because I couldn't, he drew his gun on me and cocked it. He threatened to shoot me if I went in that white latrine. Well, it made me so mad I walked all the way back to my barracks and got a gun myself. I came back and I walked up to that Southern MP. I said, 'Neither you nor me will never see no Germans nor no Japs if you try to stop me from going in this latrine this morning.' That white MP didn't try to stop me. He just turned pale and I went in. But by that time, officer, I was so mad I decided to sit down and stay a while. So I did, with my gun on my lap. I just sat, and every time a Southerner came in, I cocked the trigger. Ain't nobody said a word. They just looked at me and walked out. I stayed there as long as I wanted to, black as I am in that white latrine. Down in Mississippi, a colored soldier has to have a gun even to go to the toilet. So, officer, that is why I do not want to ride this man, because he is one of them. Wouldn't even let me go in their latrines down south. Do you understand?" "Understand?" says the cop. "Of course I understand. But Jesus, it's exactly like that the damn English did to the Irish. Faith, you don't have to haul him. Stranger, get yourself another cab. Scram, now, quick before I run you in." That white man hauled tail, and Buddy's brother drove off saluting that cop and blowing his horn for New York City. But me, if I'd have been there, said Simple, I would have asked that officer just one thing about Ireland. I would have said, "Well, before y'all got free, kicked around as you was, did you still have to pay taxes to the British?"
I can answer that for you. Of course, the Irish had to pay taxes. All colonial people have to pay taxes to their rulers.
"How do you know?"
As Simple.
"You ain't Irish."
"No," I said, "but I read books."
"You don't learn everything in books,"
said Simple. "It wouldn't hurt you to read one once in a while," I said.
"Not to change the subject, but I need a beer to help me figure up this income tax,"
said Simple.
"Bartender, a couple of beers on my friend here who reads books."
"I do not like the tone of your voice," I said. I will not pay for beer to entertain a man who has nothing but contempt for the written word.
Buddy old daddy old pal, I do not want to argue with you this evening because I haven't got time. You are colored just like me. So sit down and help me figure up my taxes for these white folks. What did you say that book says about taxation?
Without representation, it's tyranny.
If you don't know how to add, subtract, multiply, erase, deduct, steal, stash, save, conceal, and long divide, it is worse than that, said Simple. Taxes is hell, buddy o. Here's our beer.
It seems to me you should understand mathematics, I said. You've been to school.
I ain't learned much, said Simple, which is why I have to run my feet off all day long and work hard. What your head don't understand, your feet have to stand.
Well, you certainly have your opinions about everything under the sun, I said. You ought to have a newspaper since you have so much to say.
I can talk, said Simple, but I can't write.
Then you ought to be an orator.
Uh-uh. No, I'm scared of the public. My place is at the bar.
Of justice?
Justice don't run no bar.
And thus endeth the story. And that brings us to about 11:07, fam. It's been a good night. It's been a really good night. I've been so glad to be here with you and to read with you again. I did not realize how much I missed this until I was in the middle of this, you know? Like I was like, "Oh yeah, I miss it. I miss it. It'd be a lot of fun." But like I didn't know how much I missed it until sharing this experience with you. Thank you so much for coming out with us tonight. Thank you for being a part of Storytime with Julian. Thank you for your continued support. Week after week and for giving me the space that I needed to take that break. It is much appreciated. We are going to be doing a lot of things in the new year. We'll continue up through the holidays, even around Christmas time and New Year's. I'm still going to keep the regular schedule just because I missed you guys. Number one, and number two, poor planning on my part. I should have created a whole holiday block of off time, but I didn't, and that's okay. But I'm so excited about the things that are going to be coming next year. Let me, for those of you all who missed the promo, let me let you know. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to do the 12 days of litmus. We've been working back and forth with our retail partner, and they had a lot of things going on with them, and it just kind of it didn't work out. So we're going to push that back till spring, and right around our anniversary, around mid to late March, we're going to do a spring book fair and really, really excited about that. So all the goodwill and energy and excitement that you had, hold on to it, preserve it, because come spring, we're going to get some books in the hands of the young people. And looking forward to just more things like that. There will be another wordplay event. We are working on that actively right now. Not sure which authors we're going to be able to do next, but it is coming. And I've got a couple of other programming surprises, some slightly different, but story time adjacent things that I think you guys are going to dig. So keep rocking with us. And one of my favorite things that happened tonight was seeing somebody join in because of an invitation. If you don't tip your griot, that's okay. But one of the things that you can always do to help this platform grow is invite one person. Invite one person to come join you for story time. Let that be something that informs the next set of conversations you have. I was paid a beautiful compliment today. Someone near and dear to me said that people have found new layers of their imagination because they heard you read a story. And that touched me deep inside my soul. It really did. And I believe it to be true. I think it resonated with me because I do believe it to be true. I firmly believe that there is something to be gained out of hearing these stories. I know that at least one of you is going to leave here tonight thinking a different thought, thinking a better thought because of the words of Langston Hughes, because of the oration of Simple, and because I was able to be a part of bringing that to you. I am honored and humbled and thankful. And if you have in any way been gifted or blessed or touched or moved or inspired by something that happened in Storytime with Julian, go get a friend. Why would you have something wonderful and beautiful happen to you and not share it with somebody? Bring a friend next time. That's my one request. Thank you so much. I am Julian. This has been Storytime with Julian. Please make sure that you follow us on Facebook, on the Twitters, on the Instagram, on the YouTube. Let me go ahead and put that up on the screen. You can see everything right here. Follow and share our pages. FB, we're Storytime with Julian. On Twitter, we're at Storytime Julian. At Instagram, we're at Storytime with Julian. YouTube, it's youtube.com/Storytime with Julian. And my Twitter, where I say random things, is Magnet for Awesome. And you know what? I could use a few more Twitter followers. I haven't broken 1,000 yet, and I really should be able to do that. So yes, please follow me on Twitter. I am making a special request. Please follow Magnet for Awesome on Twitter. I mean, it's not going to hurt your scroll. You can ignore me. I don't tweet that much, but it would be nice to have the followers. Listen, y'all, it's been a wonderful night. Thank you for embracing me. Thank you for making time with me. We are going to be doing the after story. So for those of you who are members of the after story, we're going to be bringing that up now. We ain't necessarily got to talk about every story because I read like 8, but it'll be good to catch up with everyone. I will see you all on Tuesday. Thanks so much. Credits are coming up. Peace.